Jon Huntsman showed off his conservative side today, kicking off his presidential campaign in the shadow of the Statue of Liberty, just like Ronald Reagan did 30 years ago. Some Republicans, though, aren't buying it. Within hours of the announcement, rival Rick Santorum launched an attack ad blasting Huntsman for failing to sign a pro-life pledge. Just days ago, an anti-abortion group called the Susan B. Anthony List announced 5 Republican candidates have signed this pledge, with only 3, Mitt Romney, Herman Cain, and Gary Johnson, refusing. Marjorie Dannenfelser is the president of the SBA List. She joins me now from Washington. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Now, I want to say that Romney, Cain, and Huntsman, they are all now on the record as pro-life, strong pro-life candidates. And in fact, the Huntsman campaign responded today saying, look, people who rely on pledges usually don't have a record. Fortunately, Governor Huntsman, a lifelong, no flip-flops pro-lifer, has actually signed anti-abortion legislation into law. That's a signature that makes a difference. He also goes on to say that he's lived his life in this way. He's adopted 2 children, has 7 children, has lived his life every day following a pro-life mantra. So isn't that enough for you?
Well, I think voters are really in no mood to hear "trust me." They are in a mood of trusting, but then perhaps verifying. And being a governor is a very different responsibility than being a president. We can't assume that past is prologue when one moves into the position of being the president of the United States. Symbolism and rhetoric and labels are great, but far more important are pledges to do things that actually act out and give teeth to what you believe in.
Now tell me what you are pledging them to do.
Well, there are 4 aspects of this. One is to appoint judges who will not legislate from the bench, but that are strictly adhere to the Constitution. The second is to appoint only pro-life cabinet and executive appointments that are relevant to the abortion issue. The next is to answer the taxpayer demand to defund abortion that is now currently being paid for by the taxpayers. And the fourth is a piece of legislation that's been passed by 5 states so far that is really taking hold, and that is called pain-capable pro-life legislation.
And that would limit abortions past, what, 21 weeks?
Yes, about 20 weeks when science has shown that the unborn child feels pain.
And there's about 5 states that have signed on to that. But
That's right.
I guess here's my question then. I mean, Attorney General, one of those, what you say, abortion-relevant cabinet-level positions, but doesn't the Attorney General have to uphold the laws of the land? And if the law of the land is legal abortion, then what, except for the very late stages, then what would the Attorney General position? What would you hope by getting an appointee in there who is pro-life?
Yeah, it's a good question, because what anybody who is a pro-life president will do is advance pro-life legislation. Once that legislation is passed and signed into law, an attorney general who is a team member's job will be to defend that once it has been enjoined, which almost all of it will surely be enjoined by pro-choice activists. And it is attorney general's job also to vet judges. And there's certainly abortion comes as a central a subject of conversation in almost every federal judge and Supreme Court judge nomination process. So an attorney general is vital in pursuing the pro-life agenda that a president would have.
But isn't a central conversation in American living rooms when the top thing on all the polls right now is the economy and jobs? Do you worry at all that among the Republican candidates, obviously one of them will be the one that you support, that this is taking oxygen out of the debate where they can show maybe some of the other issues? I mean, do you worry that it marginalizes this as a wedge issue when so many people are focused on jobs and the economy?
Actually, not at all. I think what this does is put to rest, to the extent that that it needs to be, where each of the Republican candidates and any candidate where they sit in terms of the pro-life position. Once we know, and the voters deserve to know what their position is, then it can be weaved into the context of all the other issues that America is talking about right now. When it is a problem is when there is vagueness, when there is a lack of discernment or understanding.
So do you
no one wants to get through the debate and have to go through debates and look on the cutting room floor and try to discern where the candidates stand.
So Marjorie,
they want to know up front.
Is there vagueness for you about Jon Huntsman or Mitt Romney or Herman Cain on their position on abortion?
Well, we don't know what we don't know.
Well, they've come out very strongly. They've come out very strongly pro-life. I mean, again and again and again.
True, but in the case of all three, certainly without saying what they would do as president, which they haven't been yet, we definitely don't know. And certainly in the case of Governor Romney, who we agree with on all points of the pledge except one, we have not gotten a commitment from him yet that he would appoint pro-life Attorney General, HHS, and NIH executive appointments. So that is key, and that is the one point of disagreement in that situation.
All right, Marjorie Dannenfelser, thank you so much for joining us. A really interesting subject. You've devoted your entire career to pushing this very important issue to you. So we'll continue to watch. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.